So, I am not going to GDC. That's not really news or anything. I mean, nobody cares. I care. One of the reasons why I started this channel was I wanted to be able to kind of talk about things that we don't sometimes talk about in the game industry. And that's kind of where we are right now with what I'm doing, what I'm working on, what's coming next. No? You could have said anything you wanted. That's it? Nothing? But so I just wanted to kind of jump in and talk about some of the thinking behind it. So I really like GDC. It's an event I've been attending for, I don't know, 2006? Something like that. A long time. And I really like seeing everybody, and I have a lot of friends that, I only see there that I'll go grab dinner for food. And so, I miss that. And yeah, I was part of the group back when it was the Hip Kids Club, I guess. We had the sweet party that was like senior people in the industry and stuff. And yeah, there was a problem with that in the industry there. And they've corrected that. Well, corrected. It grew out of a reasonable way, and then it kind of needed correcting. But it's often there are a lot of students and stuff. And that's fine. Like that's a good place. Like you need to have those places where they can mix and mingle, and people of different experience kind of cross pollinate and mingle. As DICE has become more senior people now and less students, GDC's become even more students, and it's really a place to hire, which is going to kind of be interesting this year because a lot of places aren't hiring, or at least not hiring at the level they were. And if they are, they're being pickier and often hiring more senior people because they can get them at a lower rate. So it's going to have a weird feeling for that. I also caught COVID last year at it. And I like that when I posted about this that I caught COVID there, and that made me think about this. Someone's like, oh, COVID's not real. Okay, hey, for you it wasn't. For me it was. I'm a little older. It knocked me and my family out for almost 4 months. That's even with Paxlovid. I took Paxlovid and it just bounced back after that anyways. So in a severe case, I have a relative who has long COVID who's still struggling with it. I care about catching COVID. But that's not the big one. The big issue that I'm thinking about right now is often when I get to this point of like where the company is in the game, like the game was not a big hit success, right? We're actually probably going on sale next week and invite people to play versus. Like it still exists. It's still fun. It's still something I like, but there's a reasonable expectation of where it's going to go and what's going to happen. So it becomes a question of what's next and what do I want to do next? Just me. And often when I've had that question, I've gone to GDC because that's kind of my role, my brain of how it works of like, okay, now I go and I talk to a bunch of people and get feedback and make decisions based on that feedback. But the problem there is often people get me excited about things and I kind of end up not have long-term being excited about those things, or I make mistakes along the way, or I get overexcited and I start things too quickly. For sure, starting things too quickly. Some of the mistakes made for the Anacruces were probably early ones more than later ones, or for Stray Bombay. But so like all of that kind of weighs on me. And so I kind of wanted to have a little perspective without that. Though I feel bad because a lot of people have lost their jobs and you're probably going to be there. But I'm not a helpful person. We're not hiring. I'm not hiring. Nobody's getting funded. Nobody's fundraising. Yes, there's exceptions, whatever. So, just it's kind of a little bit of reflection, which is this weird thing because I will talk about this on this channel. I will be very honest about like where we are and what's happening and the struggles. And then someone will jump into like a YouTube stream and be like, hey, loser. And like, they'll just repeat the things I said. And I'm like, yeah, I said that myself. Like, hey, here's a little hint. In 7th grade, my mom told me I was going to be a loser and fail at life. So do you think you could say anything meaner to me than that? You can't. Like, I love my mom, but she may be right. So, that does, yeah, whatever, I got sidetracked. I'm all sidetracked here. Bella was sidetracking me. She's still walking around. So yeah, I wasn't going to go. So I told some people I was going to be there, and I feel a little bit bad because I had previously done some things where I kind of organized with newer people and kind of talked about it. Also, one of the things that I really liked about GDC was that mix of different experiences, and often having a table of newer people into the industry and kind of hanging out and talking with them. I used to set up by where Indie Mega Booth was. Kelly Ork, who runs that, is a really good person cares about indies and kind of working with them. And so there's always a good spot there. I don't know. I'd say hit up some of those people there. There's a lot of good people who do worry about and are concerned about some of this. Originally I started this channel because I saw somebody, I won't say where they left from, who then was on to like join my course and spend $6,000 learning game design. I'm like, first of all, you don't know everything you're talking about. Like nobody knows all of that stuff. You're not an expert on that. And then charging money for it. Like if you're successful enough, give back for free. And I know I've gotten off the design track discussions lately, and I need to get back on it. Some of that is just, like I said, I've been kind of just in a funk thinking about this and going through this of like what should be next. And like for me, it's like I have two questions. What should be next, and how early should I start talking about and caring about and sharing? Because some of that is like, with this channel now, it's a tiny channel. Someone asked me yesterday what I do for a living because I thought I did this. Like, no, God, no. I don't do any of the things everybody tells me I should do to grow the channel because I don't care about that. I care about the engagement on the channel. And that's been wonderful. YouTube and TikTok both, the comments and sometimes really long comments that are really helpful and insightful are just my favorite part of this, right? It's not comments because I have engagement because I've angered you or something. It's engagement because we were having intelligent conversations. And that is amazing. So I thank you guys for that. So then it becomes a question of like, well, if I'm making something in doing it, like, first of all, am I doing it with a larger group? Am I doing it with a smaller group? I've been thinking a lot about like with the tools available, like how solo can you go? And just ship it with all the jank of that and make it about that might be interesting, or it might be a horrible idea. Or I might revisit ideas that I've had before of things that I want to really explore more. Kind of thinking single player in a way, just because I want to relieve the tension of having to have a multiplayer game and uphold it. Yes, because I just went through that. Yes. Oh, you can slam me on that. Your concurrent player numbers, blah, 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 whatever, dude. Yeah, I'm saying it myself, man, all right? But it's like there's a bunch to explore, right? And so what is that? And then someone was saying, well, you should do Patreon because you can, like limit the people who have it and it's less noisy. But that's the same thing though of like, first of all, it's charging money for it. And I don't like that. I get some money out of this, but this is like a little bit, and I just buy people games because it's not enough money to care about. But it's also just, I don't like the barrier there, and I don't like the exclusivity of it. Some of it's to do this alongside of other people, even if they're not with me. And so some of that is like putting myself alongside other, because I try to explain to people often, like, it's that weird thing. So here's a really weird thing. Really weird. I'm no celebrity. I'm nobody. But occasionally people will be like, oh, they won't ask me a question on Discord. They'll ask about asking me a question. You just ask me a question. Like, I've always tried to make sure, like, we're all peers in this. Like, we're peers as gamers. We're peers as game developers. There's not a hierarchy to that. You don't have to ask permission. And so, to me, Patreon does that again, and I don't like that. So I don't know. I don't think there's a good answer. I think it's just a question, and I think like the two tracks of things I'm thinking about are different. Yeah, I don't know. So I wanted the time just to do that, not catch COVID, not have somebody else influence and excite me, or yeah, I guess that's a weird one. I don't know if that makes sense. I just know me. I know the weakness of me. So yeah, that is just my thinking about, which makes me sad. And so actually I'm doing some Zoom calls with people this week. And if we were going to meet at GDC, feel free to DM me. Again, like, I'm happy to. I've jumped on Zoom calls with a bunch of people. I actually met some people from the channel, from game night, in real person, and had lunch with them. Because I'm a cranky old man who actually likes people. I think I'm a positive person. I'm a negative person with a positive outlook. I don't know. Like, there's a weird dichotomy there. I get it. But yeah. So there you go. And you got to see some of Bella. Oh, I love that cat. She's getting older though. So that's why the laser pointer's got a giant dolphin on it, because she can't just see a dot anymore.